Your specific person and everyone around you are watching everything that you are doing, or at least that's what you want to assume or imagine, because it helps you get into your end state and manifest so much faster. Everything is all about a sense of being, and this technique is actually the quickest way to change that sense of being and manifest whatever it is that you want. So whether it's a text, call, marriage, proposal, dating, anything, by acting this out, you have no choice but to be the individual that already has what you desire and see that reflected outside of you. And I call it the Truman Show method, or because if you've seen the Truman Show, it's a movie from a while ago in which the main character is someone who is constantly watched with cameras and basically has his own show. Why it's called the Truman Show. And you need to act like your life is doing that same exact thing. I want you to imagine that everything you do, everything you think, at every single point in the day is being projected to a TV screen. And it has a huge audience that is constantly and always watching it. By doing this, you are going to become very conscious of what you do and the state that you are constantly acting from. This will allow you to see your state from the outside, and it will make so much sense as to why we might not have already manifested everything we could ever want. Because from the outside, you can ask yourself, if people were watching me right now, what would they say my priority is? Who would they say I am? If people were watching from me from the outside, what would they be yelling at the screen telling me to do at this very moment? This will give you a new perspective, which will break you out of the previous habit or sense of self that you might have been previously. Kind of like how Neville Goddard says we need to completely die to the old state and align with the new in order to manifest something different. Kind of like Albert Einstein's quote, in which he says, the level of consciousness that created a problem is not the level of consciousness that solves it. And so right now, if we feel like we're single, if we feel like we're not with our specific person, if we feel we're not there yet, all we have to do is change our level of consciousness, because the level of consciousness that got us here is not the level of consciousness that is going to change that. So again, just imagine or ask yourself those two questions. If someone was looking at your life right now, they could see everything. What would they say is your priority? What would they say your main focus is? If they said you had a goal, what was it? And would they think that you are actively trying to achieve that goal? What would they be telling you to do at this very moment, or screaming at the screen in order to do? Because the audience, think of the last time you went to a movie, it's so obvious from the outside, right? As soon as you take an outside perspective and you detach from emotional states, you see that the pathway to where we want to go is really easy. It's really simple. It's actually already within our capability. Everyone watching your TV show with your manifestation thinks that you already know exactly what to do. You already have the capability. All you have to do is act it out. And by doing this, we'll start to see from a totally different mindset. We'll become a totally different individual, because every point in the day will then be watched by the audience. And that's where then we start to understand what we do in small things, we do in everything. We're not meant to be with our specific person just at 15-minute intervals through the day when we're doing our affirmations or our techniques. We need to completely change our sense of self. Because if we are just being the individual with our specific person for 15 minutes when we do our affirmations, that's not creating a true sense of being or a true sense of consciousness. We are just basically acting out the same things over and over again, but thinking about what we want. But we don't want to think about what we desire. We want to be the individual that already has it. And a lot of times we fall into that trap. We act in a certain way, but then the rest of the day we don't, right? We act in a relationship for a few minutes, manifesting or thinking of affirmations, and then we go throughout the day acting in the complete opposite, doing things that don't align us with our end state. But by remembering that you are the star of your own show, you're the lead in the movie, and your ending is being with your specific person, what would everyone be telling you what to do? You can also use this strategy anytime you receive or think of any doubts. You can ask yourself, what would the audience think I should do? Or what would the audience be thinking I should be doing right now? What would they be telling me to do? If I was watching my own life in a movie or on a TV screen or at a movie theater, what would I think would be the best response? How would I expect the main character act if this happened to me or that happened to me? Let's say you are tasked with an idea of something happens in your reality that isn't the most positive. Ask yourself that. What would the audience be telling me to do? Or what would I tell a character who is very similar to me in the same exact situation? What would I tell them to do? And we'll realize we've always had access to this the whole time. This knowledge was never inescapable. It wasn't something that we couldn't do or can't act out or something that you're incapable of doing right now. It's just something that we didn't believe would create the outcome we want because of the emotional state. But as soon as you are now thinking of constantly being watched, there's no way that you could actually leave this state or act in anything else because you know the audience is going to be watching you. Kind of like the idea that when we're trying to act from our end state, sometimes we kind of push ourselves out of it or fall out of it because we think, nobody knows. Nobody saw that. It doesn't matter. I can stalk my specific person's social media. I can worry about them. I can stress. I can complain in my mind. No one sees it. But the only person that matters is actually observing that, and that's you. And so act as if everyone, because everyone and everything is actually responding to your sense of being, act and understand everything around you knows and understands what you're thinking and is trying to recreate it, including your specific person. They are understanding and they know what you're thinking about them right now. They are watching you. They are represented in your reality as the person you are assuming them to be, as well as everything else around you. So always keep that in mind. So you cannot, just because you are doing something behind the scenes and no one sees it, you see it, and that's all that matters because you are the creator of this reality. It's kind of like if God was changing something or altering something in your reality, would you not notice it? And the answer is, of course you would. It would impact every fabric of every portion of every space, every atom of our reality would be altered based on that. And that's what happens when you assume a different state. And keeping with this theme as well, be prepared for plot twists. Yes, right now it may seem like there's distance between you and your specific person, or it seems like there has to be time in order for you to be with your specific person, but there can be an immediate plot twist in which they show up right now. They show up in the next moment. They show up with flowers. They ask you out. They call you. They text you, right? All of that is capable and available, and something, even though it is a plot twist and unexpected, the audience would actually be expecting something like that. I'm sure you've seen enough movies to know that just because we think it's going a specific type of way doesn't mean it can't be even better. And so always remember, if anything looks off, if we're imagining and feeling strange or odd, remember, plot twist. Say to yourself, plot twist, everything shifts tomorrow. Or plot twist, everything shifts in the next moment. And then be prepared for that to happen. Because your assumptions always create and reflect in the exact way of who you are. So if you assume something different, if you assume and expect plot twists in the positive, they're going to happen. And keeping this theme as well, if anything happens that you don't like, be the director and redirect it, kind of like a revision, right? If something occurred that you didn't like, or maybe you did something that you didn't want to do, maybe your specific person texted you and you wanted more text or something. So you said something you might not have wanted to do. In that case, redirect it. What would you have wanted to say? What would the version of you in your end state or the main character who's acting out everything you're doing, how would they have responded to that specific situation? And you'll realize and find that it's so much easier when we take that outside perspective. But redirect it. Change the script. What did you want your specific person to say to you? What did you want to say to your specific person? Who is coming in and out of the scene at any point in time? You'll realize you have complete control of that, and it is wild how quick things can change as a result of this and how your reality will begin reflecting it. Because for today's success story, I don't have a specific screenshot because it's something that happens quite often, but I had someone act this out. I can't give too many details only because I think it would be very revealing who this individual is. Like maybe not to everyone, but if they're a specific person or someone who's watching, I don't want them to totally see it. And so basically what happened in a coaching session after the fact, they talked about how their specific person literally started repeating word for word what they were writing down in an affirmation in their manifestation journal. So they would write out affirmations of what they would imagine on their reality, of what they wanted their specific person to say, and literally everything that they wrote down, their specific person was repeating word for word, even to the point in which they started to get paranoid, thinking that their specific person had read their manifestation journal because it was so exact, it was worded perfectly as they wrote it, which again, it's very funny to think about this because we were like joking back and forth about their specific person reading their manifestation journal, but it's just funny how your reality can be such a mirror when we're in the state that it will literally feel as if people are reading our mind, or they have to be physically understanding or hearing us, because we even went through this, because it was funny, because we were even going through the process, because I would say it's a reflection of our reality, but I had to go through the process with them because they were like, did I say it? Did I say this? Did I say that? Because everything was being repeated perfectly. But I reminded them, that's just a reflection of who you are. So if you want your specific person to show up as the individual that's obsessed with you or cares about you or loves you or wants to bring you flowers or ask you out for your birthday or Valentine's Day or whatever, imagine it, write it down, assume it to be real, and basically write that as the script of your reality, and you are going to see it happen. And when it does happen, don't be scared when it is literally word for word what you have written, because your assumptions create your reality, and as soon as we understand that, we'll realize everything is up to your control. And you'll also understand, again, taking that for perspective from the outside, I do keep saying this, but I think it is very important. You already know exactly what to do. Assume the state, act as the actor or actress who is already in that state. What would they do? How do they act? What would the people or audience watching me say is my priority? What would they say I'm doing? Would they agree that I have this as my priority and I'm doing everything I can to do it? Or would they say, I'm not doing exactly what I need, or am I making it too hard, right? What is the audience telling you to do at this very moment? And if you did have any questions on this at all, or other kind of successes, or your specific person was repeating back what you had specifically wrote in a manifestation journal, comment it down below. If you did want to send me a personal message or a question or success or something that you didn't want to post publicly, make sure to head over to kyleaugustcoaching.com. That's where you can reach me personally. And if you know everything's going to shift and you're going to take this 100% seriously, leave a thumbs up on this video, because you will be surprised how quickly contemplation or intentions like that can change everything around you. But as always, thank you so much for stopping by today. Again, any comments, any updates, I want to hear about your specific person manifestation and see how it's going. But if not, that's okay too. Just let me know exactly when you get that success, because successes are so much faster and can come so much sooner. That's why I added the plot twist idea to this concept. Act as if things can shift, and it's all connected to a level of abundance. Act as if the most abundant, crazy things can happen, and they'll start happening for you. But again, thank you so much for stopping by today, and I can't wait to see you in my next video tomorrow.